and I work like a dog day and night, living off of coffee from a pot none of you want to touch.
Hidden Figures is a pivotal biopic film exploring the lives of three brilliant women as they navigate the barriers of their times. The two critical lenses I chose to analyze this film were the feminist critique, which examines the ways in which media reinforces or undermines the economic, political, social, and psychological oppression of women, and the critical race theory, which examines the way race and society interacts, particularly the institutions, laws, rules, and systematic ways of oppression, not only individuals' prejudices. Hidden Figures is a movie that explores the intersection of race and gender over the background of NASA in the 1970s. In this critique, I'm exploring the following idea. When analyzing Hidden Figures through both a feminist and CRT lens, the viewer is able to better understand the biases and barriers built into the societal system through this portrayal of individual experiences. Based on real life, the movie centers on three brilliant African American women at NASA: Katherine Johnson, Dorothy Vaughan, and Mary Jackson, who serve as the brains behind the launch of astronaut John Glenn into orbit. The film starts with setting up their backgrounds. Katherine Johnson was a child prodigy, for example, who graduated college at 14. She went into math research, a very difficult field for women of color at the time, and was hired at NASA as a computer. The film starts after this context, diving into her and the two other women's careers at NASA. Computers did hard work, mathematical calculations before computers as we know them today were invented, and at the time it was just considered grunt work. They weren't even allowed to put their names on papers that they had contributed to. The film goes through the struggles of their balancing a personal life, ambition, and a world built against them. They eventually prove their place and get a semblance of acceptance. The film ends on a high note with the launch being a success and the women being accepted into NASA. The film notes that there's still work to be done and follows the women's journeys in the end credits. To analyze the film, let's start with the title itself. Hidden Figures, as a name, wraps up how women were seen for centuries: objects who are hidden. Many women have to work twice as hard to get their work recognized, especially when a field becomes groundbreaking or exciting. We often forget the history of computing is also female. Ada Lovelace wrote the first bit of theoretical code, and punch cards were created by female artisans, weavers in fact. However, these women were pushed away and hidden when the field became exciting or had room for growth. Today, computing has been stereotyped as a male field, many women in it equipped with their own tales of discrimination.
I need to be in that room hearing what you hear.
Pentagon briefings are not for civilians. It requires the highest clearance.
I feel like I'm the best person to present my calculations.
let this go, are you?
No, I am not.
And she is a woman. There is no protocol for a woman. Okay.
Hidden Figures has many examples of gender discrimination built into the system, or the fact that they weren't even considered equal enough to be allowed to sit in on briefings like in the clip before. However, despite these challenges, the movie shows the characters constantly calling out their colleagues, fighting for themselves, and etching out their space. For example, when Mary Jackson tries to further her education to become an engineer, unheard of at the time for women of color, the night school professor remarks, "Well, the curriculum's not designed for teaching a woman." Mary Jackson replies, "I imagine it's the same as teaching a man." The film is constantly showing the brilliance and resistance of the women despite the barriers working against them.
No crime in a broken down car.
No crime being Negro, neither.
Button it up, Mary. Nobody wants to go to jail behind your mouth.
I do my best, sugar.
Not only is gender something that affects these women's lives, but race plays a key part as well. Hidden Figures takes place at the Langley Research Center in Hampton, Virginia, in 1960. At this time, workers were segregated. The unit is separated by race and sex at the starting of the movie, but more on intersectionality later.
What do you mean there's no bathroom for you here?
There is no bathroom. There are no colored bathrooms in this building or any building outside the West Campus, which is half a mile away. Did you know that? I have to walk to Timbuktu just to relieve myself. And I can't use one of the handy bikes. Picture that, Mr. Harrison. My uniform, skirt below my knees, my heels, and a simple string of pearls. Well, I don't own pearls. Lord knows you don't pay colors enough to afford pearls.
harrowing bathroom monologue scene, something that has left an impact on anyone viewing the movie. Catherine is admitted to work in a building which does not have a colored bathroom. This causes delays in her work, keeping her behind from the men and affecting her performance. This is a great example of what institutional racism looks like. Nobody is actively being discriminatory to her, but in not even seeing a possibility of a person of color being in that building, she is invisibly hurt. The pivotal scene concludes with their supervisor tearing down the colored sign, eloquently quoting, "Here at NASA, we all pee the same color." While dramatized, it serves to show the progress made in real life by the people of color simply existing, and doing so well that their counterparts are forced to accept them. It also serves to illustrate the complicated institutional barriers that POC faced and still face today. It is impossible to ignore the unique intersection of identities. Intersectionality, or intersection theory, is a term first coined in 1989 by American civil rights advocate Kimberly Williams Crenshaw. It is the study of overlapping or intersecting social identities and related systems of oppression. At this time, 33% of Black women worked in domestic household situations. While it was not unheard of to be Black and in STEM, the layer of being a woman added a complicated twist to the discrimination these professionals faced. This is highlighted when a mentor figure at NASA asks one of the women, "If you were a white male, would you wish to be an engineer?" She responds, "I wouldn't have to, I'd already be one." When analyzing the film through both the lenses separately can be great, it is only when they come together does the viewer truly understand the complicated overlapping biases and barriers built into our societal system and the brilliance of the woman to thrive despite them. Many reviews point out the film's amazing exploration of intersectional themes, of feminism and race, motherhood and careers being some of the examples. Lenica Cruz of The Atlantic brought a fresh perspective that my review hadn't gone over: the structure of the movie itself. The reviewer mentions that the usual biopic of brilliant scientists evoke imagery of the inaccessible genius, someone who can be egoistic, quirky, removed from the world, and in a way, not like the other girls. Think of films like A Beautiful Mind, The Theory of Everything, and The Imitation Game. However, the reviewer explores how Hidden Figures deviates from the stereotype and treats its subjects like real human beings, people the viewer can relate to. To quote Cruz, Hidden Figures is a story of struggle and willpower, but not of individual glory. Hidden Figures pays tribute to its subjects by doing the opposite of what many biopics have done in the past. It looks closely at the remarkable person in the context of their community. In our patriarchal Western culture, individualism is a prized trait, and reaching out to community for support or valuing the traits that characters and hidden figures are shown to value has often been demonized as being deemed too feminine, something that people without rigorous single minded successes do. However, Hidden Figures completely dismantles this stereotype, showing viewers you can be smart and feminine, successful and reliant on social support. Cruz's review highlights how the film shows the viewer three smart, brilliant women and how they found their success despite the odds of segregation and society stacked up against them, and did it in their own fierce, community centered way, not only being employees, but women, daughters, mothers, and wives. So, is this film worth seeing? Who's the target audience? I believe the target audience is to inspire underrepresented minorities to identify with the main characters, and also to promote a narrative that is overlooked for the mainstream audience. As someone who has been told that women's brains aren't inherently made for STEM, this movie resonated with some of my experiences, but would also help people who haven't undergone this to understand this different point of view. Hidden Figures is an amazing film that serves to inspire and educate, and does both brilliantly. Thank you for watching. Until next time.